And good afternoon, morning, or evening, whatever time it is for you, wherever you may be. Welcome to another exciting episode of Let's Coach with Carolyn. Now, ending a relationship can be hard. Sometimes we hold on longer than we should. We make up excuses as to why we should stay. But then one day you realize, hey, it's over. The relationship comes to an end. And, sometimes that can be like a blow, like a knockout punch or a sting that you feel like you've never felt before. And it can be difficult to get out there and to start over again because you might be thinking, well, this whole dating and relationship thing isn't worth it. I mean, it's work. It's hard work. Or you might be thinking that you're not worthy of love or to be in a healthy, meaningful relationship. But deep down inside, you do desire to have that loving, passionate, and fulfilling relationship. But you can have that. You just have to start over. And today we're going to be talking about what's holding you back and how you can get started again. But before we do that, as you guys know, I am your host of Let's Coach with Carolyn. I'm Carolyn Owens. And Let's Coach is the show that brings the best from the coaching world with tips and strategies for you to use in your everyday life. And we bring you some small business ideas and some good news stories and stories about people that are paying it forward in their everyday lives. And so when I'm not hosting the show, I serve as the president of Infinity Coaching, and we help you up-level your skills so you can up-level your income, your career, your life, or your business. And we have a lot of fun in the process. But if you want to find out more about me, you can go to CarolynOwens360.com, and you're going to find, everything that would link you to me there. You'll find my social media platforms, my website, my blog, and even a link to the podcast there. You just go and find it. Everything you need to connect with me is there. And do actually connect with me on social media. Tell me what you've liked about the show. And even if you check out, oh, yes, I do have some great news. As of this week, we are officially on Spotify, too. So if you like listening to the shows on Spotify or iTunes or iHeartRadio and here on Blog Talk, you can find them all there and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you really like the show, go ahead and share it or leave us a review there. That helps other people find it. I always believe, from my perspective, it's not about, thousands and thousands of people listening. As long as the episode touches that one person who needs to hear that message that we're bringing that day, that can make a difference for them. And so we had a little mix-up last Wednesday, so we didn't get to air our normal show time. But our last show that we did do was about relationships tested during a time of crisis and how there's so much going on right now that is putting that pressure on our relationships, that most important relationships, between our partners, husbands and wife, and how do you not let that tear apart? What can you do to strengthen that relationship? And, I've been talking a lot about starting ugly and just go ahead and, coming up with a plan and taking action for the things that we want in life. It's part of what this whole year is about, empowering you with tips and strategies that's going to help you create the life of your dreams. And so part of that is if you are currently in that relationship and you want to keep it going, check out that episode. Again, it's relationships tested during a time of crisis here on Let's Coach with Carolyn. And I think you'll get a lot of tips and strategies from that one that will help you, kind of navigate through what you're going through right now. And so this week we're talking about starting over after a relationship has ended. Nobody likes to get to that point where, you have that, it's not a good feeling. So our guest today is Roman Mironov, and he is a relationship coach who teaches insanely actionable strategies that make relationships the number one source of happiness in his client's life. He's researched and studied self-improvement for over a decade and brings his best ideas and tools to people he works with. So we're going to see, we're going to talk about some of his own personal experiences, and we're going to learn how we can create an amazing and enviable relationship. So he is here on the line, and I'm going to turn on his mic.
Hi there.
And hello.
Hi,
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
I always think it's important for our listeners to understand why we do what we do. So what led you to become a relationship coach?
I would say there are two reasons. The first one is that I have gone through a painful divorce almost 6 years ago, and I learned a lot of lessons from that divorce. And after that, I actually realized that I didn't know women at all, because my ex-wife, she sort of had fallen into my lap. I had been lucky. So I did not really do anything to attract her. So I didn't know anything about women at that point. And so after my divorce, even though it was so painful, I had to go, out, get to the dating world and actually learn everything by trial and error. I mean, all dating and relationship ideas, strategies, and tools, I had to learn them. And at 32, after being together with my ex-wife for 11 years. Yeah, so that's one component. And the second one was actually the fact that I am a huge fan of self-development. So I've been learning all these amazing tools for more than 10 years. And for example, they helped me get out of mild depression twice. I knew that I could help myself with, self-improvement, personal development strategies. And I realized that this is something that I want to help other people with. So I put together, this experience with the relationships and dating with my passion for helping people in self-development. And that's how I got into this career.
I think, the best coaches are those who have walked through and experienced something themselves, because it makes you more relatable to our clients, to the people that we're working with.
Exactly, and it makes the clients actually relatable to us more, right? Because we understand their problem, their challenge. Yeah. Yes.
And you went through this pretty bad divorce 6 years ago. After you were going through that and after the breakup, what was your greatest fear?
Well, in the first, let's say, 1 week or 2 weeks, I was thinking mostly about my kid, my son, because I felt a lot of guilt, and I thought that I always wanted for him to have a family. I wanted like a very functional family. Yeah, I felt bad for him. That was one emotion, and the second emotion, that I felt a lot of pain, because I'm a very habitual person, so I love habits. I love certainty. I love things to be the same in my life. And now, I had been living with my wife for 11 years, and now everything was broken in a moment, right? So that was a huge shock.
It's a big change.
Exactly.
After 11 years of being with someone, it's like you really do have to start over.
Exactly. That's what I had to do. Yeah. In all respects.
So, what did you do after the breakup? I mean, you had a lot of emotions, a lot of different things. Like you said, you had to start over. But what did you do? What kind of helped you get through it?
Well, one thing that I did was I made sure that I was around other people, and for that reason, I even moved in back with my parents for some time because I was able to be with them, to talk to them. They supported me, and I didn't. By living with them at that point, I did not have to feel the discomfort that I could have felt otherwise if I had, to rent an apartment for myself and live there by myself. Yeah, and I also knew that this process of healing, recovery, it would take time. It is supposed to take. It's like, I always compare it to a broken leg, because if you break a leg, you can't expect to recover right away, right? You need to wait, and usually you wait for at least 2 months, and your recovery is progressive. So you start working your leg slowly, and then you go from a lot of pain to, medium pain, then to mild pain, and finally the pain is gone. So it's unrealistic to expect that it will go away quickly. Yeah, that's what I did.
You allow time. You gave yourself time.
Yes. Don't expect the pain to go away immediately. That's okay. You have to feel it. You have to feel the pain, and you have to be fine with that.
But why do you feel so devastated after a breakup? I mean, some people don't get that. Why do you? Why do people feel that way?
Look, I believe that all people have a fundamental need for a connection or love, and we have this, need for love since the very moment that we are born into this world. Because infants, they need a lot of love from their parents. They need a lot of touch, and even if infants are not touched enough, they can even die because they don't get that love. And we carry this love, this craving for love throughout our entire life. And what happens is it's really then epitomized by this concept of romantic love. And we want a person in our life who will be with us our entire life, who will love us our entire life and make us feel complete. Yeah, so when we have a breakup, this whole concept of that one person who will love us, it, is blown away, blows to pieces. And no wonder that we feel devastated, because this need for love is so fundamental.
It's, you had me thinking of when babies are born and they're not well. The touch, that physical touch, is one of the things that has proven helps them thrive and often survive during those situations. That's like physical touch from their mom or their dad. And so if you think about we as you said, we keep that with us, that need for connection, some type of human connection, and that's taken away from us. You can be hurt, devastated.
Exactly. We, as adults, we don't need that touch as bad as infants, but we still need it. I mean, both emotionally and physically, we do need it. We do need at least connection, but ideally love. And it's it's all right. Yeah, it's so. I feel so bad for many people because they settle for connection and they do hope to get love, to feel love in their life, but they oftentimes don't.
So you say they just settle for connection. What do you mean by that?
I mean that even in marriages, people oftentimes, 1 year into the relationship, into the marriage, or 2 years into the marriage, they stop feeling love, and at the very best, they feel connected. They just have a person to talk to yeah, to spend some time with, but they don't feel love. Not really. And there's also this trend that more people, for example, here in Canada, this is official statistics, more people live by themselves. They live alone. They live in loneliness. So they, at the very best, they get hope for connection in their workplace or in their community, but that's it. No love.
So, I think, and I don't know the statistics on this, but after you do have a breakup, you're less likely to get into a passionate, healthy, love-based relationship, that you're stuck in that connection mode. But how do you heal from that? How do you heal from that breakup that's not letting you move on to get passion?
Mm-hmm. I think that the best thing when it comes to recovering from breakup is thinking about your self-esteem. Because what many people do, the mistake that they make, is that they start thinking that there is something wrong with them. Mm-hmm. But there is, because they feel that by breaking up, by having that significant other leave them, it means that they're not enough. They're not enough, and they get caught up in this thinking, in this mentality, which is totally wrong, and it's very unhealthy. And so the general idea is really to think about your self-esteem. If you think about it, if you care about it, you will understand that there is no reason to, like to give all your power away to that other person, and thinking that they have the ability to. So they judged us. They decided that we were not enough, and they left us. No. So you need to have self-respect and self-esteem. That's one thing. And a more practical tip, and something that I like, but so many people that go through a breakup, such as my clients, they dislike, is actually going back into the dating world as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think that's the last thing people think of when they end a relationship, is just getting back out there pretty quick.
Exactly.
That's the last thing they want to do. You often hear, take a break. I'm taking a year off. Or they'll get stuck in why would someone want me anyway? Like you're saying, they put blame on themselves and the self-esteem drops. So they definitely aren't thinking about getting back out there. So why is it so difficult to start over after ending a relationship?
Well, it's difficult just like I, explained with this broken leg metaphor, because you're in a lot of pain, and all you really want, especially if you're the one who has been dumped, all you want is to get back with your ex. That's what you want. You hate the idea of seeing other people, even like talking to others, just not going really deep with them, but just going out on a simple date. That idea seems very alien completely alien, because you want to get back with your ex. Yeah, that's one big reason.
They still think of what could be and not reality of the situation.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's one big thought that people go through, and that's why they feel a lot of guilt. So they sit around and psychoanalyze themselves to death because they want to find mistakes with them, and that's again where self-esteem comes in. So they find faults with them, and then they want to contact their ex and explain that they had made those mistakes and they would not repeat them. And so please, can we get back together? Like this. And that
you have I'm sorry. You have a great example where you talk about Robin Williams in his third marriage. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, yeah. That is a great example, and it comes from my reading the biography of Robin Williams, which was written by Dave Fitzkoff, and yeah, I'm a great fan of that book for one reason is that I'm really fascinated, by this kind of situations that people have in their life when they have everything, they have fame, they have money, they have a great family, and then they kill themselves, like Robin Williams did. And he's not alone in that. That really fascinates me as a coach who, helps people be happy in life, right? Because, when I read these types of biographies, I try to understand how is it possible for a person to have everything and then still to hate themselves. But anyway, the third marriage that Robin had was the most painful one. He lived with his third wife, whose name was Susan, just for 3 years, even less than 3 years, and then he committed suicide. And so one lesson, that's just my perspective, okay? How I read and how I interpret the events, and I might not be correct, definitely, but that's what my take on it is. So one lesson is that he did not choose his spouse carefully, and when he was in his second marriage, which was his most successful marriage with his ex-wife Marcia, she used to create a lot of comfort for him. His life was very comfortable. She made sure that he always had company of people who actually challenged him intellectually. So he was in the good hands, I should say. But after he got a divorce with her, his third wife her name was Susan, and she was totally different. She was independent. She had two already grown up sons, and she spent a lot of time traveling, and that was a lifestyle that Robin was never prepared for. So he had to live alone in a rented apartment, and he didn't really have too many people to talk to, including his new wife, and she was traveling all the time. So that was totally not what he wanted. And as a result, he found himself in going downhill. So his career took a major hit. His health deteriorated quickly. And yeah, my lesson from this is that it's very important to choose your spouse carefully, especially when you're older, like he was, and especially after a breakup, because I think he didn't take enough time to absorb the experience. I know I said myself that it's okay to go back into the dating world as quickly as possible. That's right. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you have to marry. All right? Because marriage is a very huge thing. It's very serious, and it's an important decision. And as we see, this decision with Robin Williams was pretty much a mistake. Yeah.
It's so many key things that you just said just now, and just that one example when you speak of we often in the business world hear how your business and growth is about who you're surrounding yourself with, even with your careers as you're trying to move forward. But we often don't put that much effort into that mate we choose, that partner, especially we get married and we're going to spend the rest of our life with. And, you know, we don't think about if you're a person who stays at home and you've got a person who doesn't, they want to travel, how is that going to conflict with, you know, you want them there with you and they're not going to be there. You know, that's what dating is about, is getting to know that person, to know that you can spend a lifetime with them. You know, are you going to feel alone? Are you going to feel somewhat abandoned by that? And I think we don't put enough, you know, effort in choosing that person. So you talked and you said about getting back out there, and you know, you date someone doesn't mean that you got to marry them a couple of weeks later. Taking time to get to know them.
Yeah. Exactly, and that was the mistake that Robin did, as I understand it. Mm-hmm. He was in a lot of pain after his second marriage, and he wanted to stop the pain as quickly as possible, and so he wasn't really subjective. He wasn't subjective because of the pain. He had to spend some time, you know, healing from the pain, and then make a decision about you know, getting married the third time. Yeah. So you're right. I love that idea of, you know, choosing people around us carefully, especially when it comes to a family, because a family is a source of support and love. And if we don't get from the family, I mean, that's a disaster.
What home life would be like. And
right.
It's right now. There are a lot of people like, we're at home, we're not getting out much. But I've heard a lot of people say that, you know, and if you're, depending on when you're listening to this interview for our listeners, at the current time, there's a global crisis, the coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, which has people sheltering in place, staying indoors a whole lot more. But I've heard that people say that once this slows down, that they're ready. They're going to get out there and they're going to be dating again. What is that worst thing that they can, you know, they're going to be ready and anxious to get out there. What's the worst thing they can do in the beginning?
Well, I think that, you know, if they rush, that they might also make mistakes. I mean, make decisions too quickly. So yeah, that's one thing. Don't rush. So take your time. That's like a general idea. And one thing that comes to mind, one more practical tip is that, you know, when it comes to dating, people tend to have unrealistic expectations. And what I mean is that they want to attract an ideal person, so they have this ideal in their mind, and they think, I want this, that, and also that in a person, which is good. It's good. It you know, helps you raise your standards, right? But that's why I'm saying that these real expectations might be unrealistic. You need to be that person first. You need to be the person you want to attract. So if you want your significant other, the person that you're looking for, to be happy, you need to be happy yourself. For example, if you're sad all the time, if you're depressed all the time, and you think that you want to attract a person who is happy all the time. Well, the truth is, this is not going to happen because a happy person won't be attracted to a depressed person. Yeah. That's my example.
So part of the process is working on yourself.
Exactly. A huge part that many people choose to, ignore, actually.
They do, because we lose touch of what is important to us, especially when you're going across, you're traveling up your career path or you're growing your business. We lose touch of that other side of what we value and what's important to us. Because if we sat back and look, we'd realize we're not in alignment. We're not, taking time for the things that we say are important to us. And you got to wake back up and you raise that self-awareness to know what those things are. What is important to you? What is important about the person that you want to be with? Instead of just, okay, he's a great-looking guy, but, is he really that person for you? And vice versa. For the guys, she's drop-dead gorgeous, fit, perfect figure, but is she really that person for you? Because you're going to spend time with him. If you're making that commitment, it's just not, I see you and that's it. If it's a true, committed, healthy relationship. So you have a book that you give out that people can have access to that talks about 7 mistakes that people make in that relationship. Now, I don't want to give the book away, and as far as what is in it, but can you share like one of those 7 things and let people know how they can get it?
Sure. Yeah. So one of my best pieces of advice that really works for my clients is thinking about your partner's needs. So that book is called 7 Common Mistakes That Will Ruin Your Relationship. And the first mistake that I talk about there is it's about your partner's needs. So many people in the relationship, they don't think about their partner's needs. They think about how their partner or their spouse fulfills their own needs. And that doesn't work. If you want your relationship to be like the number one source of happiness in your life, you need to give love unconditionally. And in practical terms, it means that you need to understand the needs of your partner, and then you work on fulfilling those needs fanatically every day. Because by helping them to meet their needs, you will make them reciprocate. And that's how a relationship works very well. And also, and this comes down to unconditional love. When you meet your partner's needs and you love them unconditionally, you feel love. Because love is, as Stephen Covey used to say, love is a verb. We feel love when we give it. Yeah. And when you're able to do that, when you're able to really love your partner unconditionally, it changes everything. You light your partner up, and then your partner is able to do the same thing for you. And that said, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say we did a whole show on the fact that love is a verb, and I'll share that for our listeners again. But it is. It's about the actions we take, and too often, people think, well, I want to be treated a certain way, or I need, we should be, loving someone the way we want to be loved. But I think it's more about how do they want to be loved, because they're not going to like everything I like and want things the way I do. And I wouldn't want to be with someone who was just like me. It would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you want to be able to know and understand what they want. But how do you find that out?
Oh, you just sit down and talk to them. And normally the ideal way to do this is to have a long, deep conversation, 1 or 2 hours, because after you spend 1 hour with your partner asking them quality questions, being 100% present, they will open up. And then you can ask them about their needs, and they won't be afraid to tell them about those needs.
I was sitting here as you were saying that, thinking, if someone doesn't engage in that type of conversation, after you try to initiate it several times, it may be, hey, your communication is not good, or they are not invested enough in that relationship. And that's when you have that opportunity to date and know, what someone wants, and being able to walk away when there is nothing there for you. It's just a connection, and it's not really going to grow into that type of relationship you really want.
Well, yeah, that's a possibility. You should always, remember that this option is on the table. And I usually tell clients that you should try unconditional love for 90 days max, and having these long conversations and trying to reach out to your partner and to really to let them know that you want to work on this relationship. You do this for 90 days. Yeah, that's like a good challenge. But going beyond that is often not, it doesn't make sense. And so you really want to reconsider and, maybe move on. Yeah.
So you mentioned how, part of this, the breakup, the devastation and everything, and you're thinking about, I want to be back with my ex. Time goes by, and you've done some work on yourself. You've done some healing. But
Yes.
Even then, what do you think? Should people get back with their exes?
Well, first of all, it depends on who dumped who. For example, if you are the dumpee, you don't get back with your ex, because this all comes down to self-esteem again. Because you were dumped. I can't. Well, for myself, I can't even imagine trying to get back with someone who dumped me, who said that I wasn't enough. So that's not a good idea. And even if you do it, you might try, but it will make things even worse, because that other person, your ex that you're trying to get back together with, their opinion of you will get even lower, because they already dumped you, and then you're making another attempt. No way. That's not how it works. Yeah.
It can drastically affect your self-esteem, because they've now dumped you, and there was a reason. There was some, tension, stress, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it will you'll have doubt kind of going into it, thinking, Now, it does work. Sometimes people can get through it, but usually they have coaching or counseling or something that they're working through that help them get back to that place. It's that, external person kind of looking in and guiding them. But when you just go back, you have to really check your self-esteem and think, why am I going back to this person? If they berated you, treated you like crap, really think about why you are going back and what you deserve.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So getting back out there, starting over, how do you reduce the fear that exists, because they're, especially when you get older, you might have a few pounds on you. You've been with somebody, like you said, you were with your wife for 11 years, and you weren't who you were 10 years ago. You're this new person yourself as you've matured. So getting back out there, how do you reduce the fear and get past that?
Wow, that's a good one. I would recommend setting a goal for yourself. And first of all, so you set a goal, and then you start working on the goal by visualizing it, and so sort of imagining yourself being with someone that you want. And then, by doing this, you create the motivation that will propel you into actually doing this. That's how you use the unconscious powers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you create the motivation and you reduce the fear. And another tip is actually, you have to have the self-discipline to do that. And you should remember that every time you go out, every time you approach someone or you go on a date, even if you have fear, your confidence goes up. It's like, again, with that broken leg example, as you work it out and as time passes, the fear or the pain, it reduces. And I would also recommend, working on your self-esteem, because if you think that there's something's wrong with you, you're older, you're like overweight, it will show. It's not about. You want to find a person who likes you for who you are, and if you are stuck in your head thinking about all those challenges that you have, like being overweight, it will show. And that other person, they might be repelled by that. So the idea is, the basic idea, maybe a philosophical idea, not the practical one, is to learn to accept yourself. And when you accept yourself, the other person will accept you as you are. It's not, I know it's easier said than done. That's the ultimate path. That's the ultimate way that we need to go.
So why should someone hire a relationship coach? When do they need it?
Yeah. Take my example with my divorce. I lost my marriage. I lost my family. I created a situation for my son that I never wanted him to be in. I went through emotional consequences. I went through financial consequences. And the question is, wouldn't it have, been better for me to avoid all of this? So one big reason to, actually to hire a coach or to go to marriage counseling is to avoid all these consequences. And instead, you can be happy. That's it. That's a good sales pitch.
As a coach, I believe in the power of coaching. I believe in counseling. And, there were years back when this didn't exist in the forms and the way that we have it now. Because you're in Canada, I'm sitting here in Maryland in the United States, but we're able to have, do this show. We've been on Zoom, we've been emailing, so we've been able to stay in contact. And so it doesn't matter where you are. You can work with someone, you can have counseling, you can have coaching. Even if you're at home and you're not going out, it's definitely a good way to help you break through what's holding you back. If you're still, kind of stuck and you want to get out there and you're trying to figure out, why can't I, what's holding me back, coaching helps you do that. Yeah,
absolutely. And one thing that I love about coaching so much is the accountability principle. So you feel accountable to your coach, and you actually go and do the things that you commit to doing, especially because, well, not especially, but partly because you pay money and you don't want to feel that you wasted your money. Yeah.
You know, and one of the things that
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, yeah.
It's one of the things that you have, and it's actually, you say it, and it's also on your website, and I love this, that you go the extra mile every time you're with a client, that you'd rather serve one person very well than serve 100 people poorly. And you make sure your clients feel better after working with you, after talking to you. Because a lot of times I've seen people leave a coach or a counselor and they feel like crap.
Wow.
Not in a good way, though. Sometimes we've got to hit that spot for ourselves. But if we're feeling the learning and the growing, that's different. But they walk out and their self-esteem has dropped even lower. And there's counselors and coaches that focus so much on numbers, like, oh, yeah, I've coached this many people or this many hours or I've done this and I've done that they lose sight of the person that they're working with. And when it comes to relationships, trust in working with their coach and knowing that that coach or that counselor, you know, cares and really has their best interests will make a difference. And I say that when after you have a breakup and you're ready to start over, you have to guard yourself, too, from who you talk to, because you'll have those people who, misery loves company, and they keep you in that low self-esteem place. Hey, part of this may be that you got to change some of your friends.
Right.
You know, did we say where they can get the 7 Common Mistakes that cause the unhappiness, that book? I don't think we told them where they can get that.
No, yeah. So, well, just go to my website, and after you spend a couple of seconds over there, maybe not seconds, but like 10 seconds, and you move around, there will be a pop-up with the PDF, and you can, you know, sign up to my email list and get the PDF, which is this book.
I want to make sure they have it right. What is your website?
Right. Yeah, my website is www.romanmironov.com, which is spelled ROMANMIRONOV.
What type of clients do you typically work with? So that way our listeners will know when they're reaching out to you.
These are clients who want to save their marriage, who are going through a painful breakup, who have to resolve infidelity issues, people who want to find love, who want to stop loneliness. Yeah. These are the most common, categories of clients I work with.
Awesome. I believe that, even marriages that are going through difficult times can be saved. And sometimes it's learning new ways, strategies, techniques. And if you are wanting to get back out there, it's the same thing, learning and getting past what's holding you back so you can get out there, but you're healthy in the process.
Yes, that's important.
So we have a caller. I just want to see if they have a question that just popped in. Let me see.
All right.
Good afternoon, caller ending in 1648. Do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I was calling because, all right, I got my boyfriend on the phone, right? It's crazy that I just actually dragged him online because I was seeing that there's some relationship, shows on here that might be able to help us because, all right, so I kind of like cheated on him, and he just don't see no reason for us to get back together. But I was like, I cheated because, I wasn't in my right mind or whatever. And I wanted to get back together because we're supposed to get married next year, and he's just not for it. So I was hoping that y'all can probably talk to him. Like, he's on the phone with me right now.
All right. So let me get this straight. So you cheated on your boyfriend even though you were supposed to get married in 1 year, and now you want to get back with him.
Yes, yes. And it's like I kept telling him I'm sorry. I kept, telling him that, whatever I can do to make it right, I'm willing to make it right. Like whatever I can do, but he's just like not for it. But he said he gonna do me this favor and get on the phone and kind of like just listen. But he said he really not going. It's not going to change his mind. So I was hoping that maybe one of y'all, can probably just kind of convince him to see that, people do deserve second chances. I love him. I care about him. But
yeah, well, the first thing that I would recommend doing, without looking into the specifics, because I can't know them right now, I would first let him take time to be alone and think about it himself. So that's important. And
okay, so
that's one thing. The second thing that you want to do is, after some time passes, you talk to him. Of course, if he gives you a chance, you talk to him. You say that you're sorry. You say that it wasn't really like the fact that you cheated. It wasn't really about something that you didn't like about them, and you were not in love with that person. So you really explain how it was, and that you want to get back to him, and you want to still get married. And from then on, there's not really a lot that you can do at that point. I would say that.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's on the phone right now. He's listening. He's listening to y'all right now. Jay,
so
you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to you. She ain't gonna mean nothing.
You can get past this, and you can make it work.
My fault.
You can, but you have to be willing to do the work it takes, and you have to forgive. I think that's one of the hardest things when people are in this situation is forgiving, making that decision to do so. It may mean it takes time. You may not get married next year. You may have to go through knowing each other all over again, dating all over again, and really, you need time to get over it. We don't know how long ago it was, like if it was recent, or, the time that needs to, the healing,
4 months ago.
We talked about that. So the healing is still taking place for him. He was hurt. He was devastated. So he has to heal. And he can forgive you, but you can't pressure him and force him to. By the sound of his voice, it's not that he doesn't love you. It's just that he needs time to heal because you were his. And it's harder for men than women to get past it. It really is. So giving him that time. But I would encourage you guys to, if you haven't had counseling before, if you haven't worked with a coach, because it's going to be hard because you can hear he's still upset. And you got to be able to work through it together but separately. And learning how to communicate it with each other, knowing what got you there. Like for your standpoint as a woman, what got you there in the first place? And talking straight to another woman that's a counselor or a coach and getting you to understand why, what led you there, so that you can deal with that. And then he has to deal with his issues of forgiveness. There's reasons why he's holding on to that, why he's not forgiving you, and he has to walk through that. But at the same time, coming together to have the conversations and learning to communicate, learning to walk through this together. I think we take marriage and commitment too lightly. And if you're willing to make that commitment, you're being able to walk through the challenges that comes with it. Now, if it were to happen again, that'd probably be very hard. In no way he might forgive you. But if it's just happened, he needs that time to heal. That's what we were kind of saying in the beginning.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so okay. So if you actually heal, are you really gonna? Could you honestly promise me that we still gonna try to make something work? I'm talking to my boyfriend now, my ex-boyfriend, obviously.
I mean, I told you I forgave you for that, but it's a difference between forgiving somebody for something. If I forgive you for it, that don't mean give you a second chance. That's just the way I look at it. Forgiveness doesn't always mean second chance. Forgiveness means, yes, I'm willing to forgive you for what you did, meaning I will still deal with you accordingly. I'm not going to treat you like I hate you. Me for allowing myself to still deal with you as a human being, and I treat you like I dislike you or I hate you. I told you. You can pick up the phone. You're going through something. You still got my support. You understand? I still talk to you. I still help you whatever I can. Help you with whatever I can help you with in terms of like whether it's financial, if I can. You feel what I'm saying? And any other line of area of your life that you need support, and I got you. Relationships, we're not walking down that stretch of road no more. But I do forgive you in terms of like I'm not going to treat you like I hate you, or I'm not going to treat you like I dislike you. The relationship thing, that bridge is burnt already. I'm going to be honest with you. That ain't happening. But in terms of us, but I told you, I said, I'll go ahead and follow your lead. You can try to get whatever coach or whatever, particular person you feel is knowledgeable enough that may be convinced that he can sway me, but it's not going to happen. There's nothing nobody can say. I don't care what they say or how they say it. There's nothing nobody can say to literally have me jump back aboard ship and say, well, you know what? People do make mistakes because cheating is never a mistake. It's never considered a mistake. And if anybody told you that, they're lying to you. And that's for everybody that's listening on this show, too. It's not a mistake. She was right on point with that. It's a bad choice. It's a bad decision. It's not a mistake. It's never a mistake. So there's neither here nor there. But like I said before, you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind listening. I'm going to follow your lead, but I'm telling you, it's all for nothing. But if it's going to make you happy to chat around to different people, for me to talk to different people with you, I'll do it, but it's not going to change anything.
So can I make a recommendation that you can either schedule a time together individually? I would say individually first to talk to Roman. You guys can email me, whatever you're more comfortable with. Because right now we're running down to our last 2 minutes, and I would love to keep this conversation going. But I would say definitely you could reach out to him because he does do like that one free session where you guys can meet, and I would do the same. And Roman, how can they reach you?
Well, yeah, just like that through my website, which is www.romanmironov.com. Yeah.
And then you could find me at, if you go to Carolyn Owens 360.com, you'll find me. Carolyn Owens 360.com.
Okay,
yes.
Quick question before y'all end this. How is that going to benefit? Now, I mean, she can do it. I'm not saying she can't.
Mm-hmm.
She's entitled to do whatever she desires to. But it's not going to help me. So I personally am not going to do it because it's not going to serve me no justice. You understand what I'm saying? I don't need to know why she did it. I don't need to be asked a trend of questions or what took place. Nothing matters now. She did what she did. Betrayal is not my best friend, and I'm detaching myself from it. It's as simple as that.
Clarity.
There's nothing else for me to converse about. I don't need clarity.
It'll give you
the clarity,
where you're going next.
No, listen to me. My clarity has been made when she professed that she cheated. I don't need clarity. Well, I don't need clarity for why she did it.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I can't speak for nobody else. So what are you saying?
Definitely not what I'm saying. But unfortunately, we're down to 30 seconds and the show will end. And I don't want to kind of cut you guys off this way. But you do know how to reach both of us to answer the rest of your question on the how.
Well,
what it would do for you. And then we can go from there.
Because he already made up his
mind. Thank you
so
much. But we're down to the final 10 seconds, so I will say, Roman, thank you so much for being here on Let's Coach with Carolyn. We will be back here on Sunday, and everyone have an awesome, blessed weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.